Another problem in the real world of feature engineering is handling unbalanced data. What do I mean by that? Well, that's when we have a large discrepancy between our positive and negative cases in our training data. So a common example is in the world of fraud detection. Actual fraud is pretty rare, right? So most of your training data is going to contain training rows that are not fraudulent. This can lead to a difficulty in actually building a model that can identify fraud. Think few data points to learn from compared to all of the non-fraud data points. So it's very easy for a model to say, okay, well, since fraud actually only happens like 0.01% of the time, I'm just gonna predict that it's not fraud all the time, and hey, my accuracy it's not hard. So if you have an unbalanced data set like that, you can end up in a situation like that where every machine learning model that looks like it has high accuracy but it's just guessing no every time, and that's not helpful, right? So there are ways of dealing with this in feature engineering. Now, first of all, don't let the terminology confuse you. This is actually something that I got hung up on a lot at first. When I say positive and negative cases, I'm not talking about the good things. So don't conflate positive and negative with a positive or negative outcome. Positive simply means is this the thing that I'm testing for, is that what happened? So that might be things, right? So if my model is trying to detect fraud, then fraud is the positive case, even though fraud is a very negative thing. Remember, positive is just the thing that you are trying to detect models. So beat that into your head, because if you keep conflating positive and negative with like moral judgments, that's not what it's about in this context. This is mainly a problem of neural networks, by the way. So you know it's a real issue that if you have an unbalanced dataset like this, it's probably not gonna learn the right things, and we have to deal with that somehow. What's one way of dealing with it? Just oversampling is a simple solution. So just take samples from your minority class. You know, in this example of fraud, just take more of those samples that are known to be fraud and copy them over and over and over again. You know, make an army of clones, if you will, of your fraudulent test cases, and you can do that at random. You should think that that would not actually help, but it does with a neural network. So that's a very simple thing you can do. Just fabricate more of your minority case by making copies of other samples from that minority case. The other way you can go under sampling. So instead of creating more of your minority case, remove the majority ones. So in the case of fraud, we had been talking about just removing some of those non-fraudulent cases to it out a little more. However, throwing data away is usually not the right answer. I mean, why would you ever want to do that? You are discarding information. So the only time when undersampling might make sense is if you are specifically trying to avoid some scaling issues with your training, right? Maybe you just have more data than you can handle on the hardware that you are given, and if you have too much data to actually process and handle, fine, throw away some of the majority case. That might be reasonable thing to do, but the better solution would be to get more computational power, right, and actually scale this out on a cluster or something. So undersampling usually not the best approach, something that even better than understanding or over. So understanding sampling is something called SMOT, and this is sampling, might C stands for a synthetic minority oversampling technique. Kind of a creative things, but it does it is artificially generates new samples of the minority class using nearest neighbors. So just like we talked about using KNN and for imputation, same idea here. We are running k nearest neighbors on each sample of the minority class, and then we create new samples from those KNN results by taking the mean of those neighbors. So instead of just naively making copies of other test cases for the minority class, or actually fabricating new ones based on averages from other samples and fabricating them, that way works pretty well. So it both generates new samples and other samples from a new or majority class, which is good. So this is better than just oversampling by making copies, because it's actually fabricating new data point that have some basis in reality still. So remember, if you are dealing with unbalanced data, SMOTE is a very good choice, a sample approach to. So just adjusting the threshold when you are actually making inferences and actually applying your model to the data that you have. So when you are making predictions for a classification, say fraud or not fraud, you are gonna have some sort of threshold of probability at which you say, okay, this is probably fraud. Most machine learning models don't just output a fraud or not fraud. It actually will give you some sort of probability that it's fraud or not fraud, and you have to choose a threshold of probability at which you say, okay, this is a probably fraud, it deserves some investigations. So if you have too many false positives, one way to fix that is just increased that threshold, right? So that is guaranteed to reduce your false positive rate, but it comes at the cost of more false negatives. So before you do something like this, you have to think about the impact that threshold will have. So if I raise my threshold, that means I am going to have fewer actual things that are flagged as fraud. That might mean that I missed out some actual fraudulent transactions there, but I am not going to be bothering my customers as much, saying, hey, I feel like this, I shut down your credit card. You might actually want the opposite effect, right? Maybe I want to be even more liberal than what I am flagging as fraud, so I would lower that threshold to actually get more fraud cases that are flagged. And fraud might be a case where you are better off guessing wrong. If it is not fraud, then other way around, right? So you need to think about the cost of a false positive versus a false negative and choose your threshold accordingly.